Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Crown Jewels. My name is PLD, and welcome to the only show I seem to be able to keep on a regular schedule. I'm working on it, guys. I have a lot of stuff going on in my life, so I'm trying to make things work. But thanks for sticking with me. I really do appreciate you very much. And we are almost at the end of the first album and pre-Queen sessions, as it has now been expanded out to be. Last week we did Smile's Earth, and this week we are doing the second of the Smile tracks. We did do two Smile tracks previously in the Queen sessions, of course, Doing All Right and Polar Bear, because they had actual Queen recordings. These are the four Smile tracks that did not have any Queen recordings that we know of. But interestingly enough, this is like a Matryoshka doll, like the old Russian dolls where the little ones are inside the big ones and you have a whole big thing. Because like we had Queen doing a Smile track, and we had Smile doing a 1984 track. In 1984, the pre-Smile band that Brian May and Tim Staffel were in before they formed Smile. We'll get to that during the rest of the pre-Queen cleanup, but today we are talking about a track called Step On Me. Yes, Step On Me, Step On Me. It is the B-side to the single Earth, which was released in the United States. Again, did not gain much traction at all. But it is, like I said, it was actually written by Brian May and Tim Staffel. Tim does vocals and bass guitar, Brian does guitars, vocals, and piano, and Roger Taylor does drums and vocals. It did have an earlier life with 1984. We do actually have a recording of that too, actually, take one and take two of that band. We'll get into that first. Actually, we'll get into that second, I should say. The first one let's listen to, let's just go ahead and listen to the Smile version now. It's in the description. Click on that, go listen to it, and come back and we'll talk a little bit about it. Step on me. Okay, that was Step On Me. Again, the Smile version of the track. It's a nice little track. It's a nice bouncy little jaunty little rock and roll track, and not too hard, not too slow or ballady. It's nice, some piano, bouncy, jangly piano from Brian. The vocals are fine. There's some nice little ooh harmonies in the background. It's a fine song. It's nothing that I would say I'd have to listen to all the time. But I wouldn't turn it off per se. Lyrics are cute. Tim's got a good voice. That's basically not much to it. It's just kind of a general pop song. I wouldn't say there's anything in there that you'd say, oh, this is going to be one of the greatest bands of all time at any time. But it's not bad. So I would take a listen to it. If you didn't take a listen to it, go back and take one listen to it and at least see if you like it. There is some nice little guitar in the background, a little bit of a muddy recording, so that could lead into my not so enthusiastic take on it per se. But let's go back now. And this is interesting because Queen, the news about in the Queen camp is that they were going to be releasing a expanded edition of the Miracle album from 1989 with some perhaps unknown or unheard jewels, some gems from the sessions. Although I'm betting that most of them we've actually probably heard in the bootleg market already at some point. But when that happens, the record company goes around to a lot of YouTube channels and strikes demos that have been uploaded. So we're losing a few of those tracks that I've been linking towards you. Hopefully, haven't lost too much yet. If you do find a broken link, please let me know. I'll try to find a different version of it for you. But in this case, actually, I had prepared two takes. There was actually two. There's Step On Me Take 1 and Step On Me Take 2 that were done by the band, like I said before, 1984, a pre-Queen band. Now, I'm going to get more into 1984 during an upcoming podcast episode, but all you really need to know is that it is the pre-Smile band that both Brian May and Tim Staffel were part of. Basically, it was a schoolboy band for the most part. They did play around a little bit, though. This was the only real track they recorded that was original. They did a lot of cover songs. Now, theirs used to have a couple of different YouTube uploads, but I could only find now one upload, which was of the whole demo. It's something I was going to link you to during the next podcast episode, or the further later on podcast episode, I should say. I'm going to have to use that here now. So look at the link now, and you'll hear about it much later on. But in the link below, there is going to be it's the Thames TV studio demo that was done by the band 1984. The last two tracks of this YouTube video, it's actually, you can see it in the YouTube video, it's separated into tracks, which is good. Last two tracks are Step On Me Take 1 and Take 2. Let's just listen to them both back to back, because quite frankly, they're very similar. Not a whole lot difference, and we'll come back and talk about those and before we get out of here. So without further ado, let's listen to 1984's Step On Me. Step on me. And there you have it, the 1984 versions of Step On Me, Take 1 and Take 2. These were recorded in March of 1967. March 31st, I believe, is the actual date from Queenpedia. Featuring Brian May on guitars and backing vocals, Dave Dillaway on bass guitar, John Garnham on guitar and vocals, Richard Thompson on drums, and Tim Staffel on vocals and harmonica, and also John Sanger also on piano as well. Basically, the main takeaway is this is Brian May with a bunch of school chums playing out. I mean, it's not bad. It's not a bad take at all. The recordings are very much more primitive than, of course, only the professional recordings we get later on. It does suffer a bit. It's kind of more hard to hear. But the takes are pretty close to what eventually Smile records. They're not a whole lot different. They're basically the same arrangement. The only differences are Brian is a little more less developed, Tim's a little less developed, all those kind of things take place. That's why the Smile version is definitely a superior version. I know here, not doing very well at being dramatic here, revealing what my crown jewel is at the end after everything. I kind of reveal it halfway through sometimes. I'm sorry about that. Hopefully it's not, doesn't take away too much from the podcast. But the Smile version is a superior version. These are rougher takes. I mean, Smile recording is not even a great recording. It's still a little muddy, but these are definitely worse. So if I'm going to pick one to listen to, it's going to be the Smile version. But let's look at these real quickly. The song, like I said, is pretty close to the Smile version. Take 1, you can hear Brian's backing vocals a little bit more, but the guitar is really, really low. You can barely hear the guitar. Much more of a bass and piano song in the first take. The second take is pretty close to Take 1, although the sound is a little bit different. The vocals are a bit turned down. You can hear a few more drum fills throughout, and Brian's guitar is definitely much more significantly in this mix. But there's really not much different to it. So there we go. So there it is. Let us get to the rankings and go from there, pulling up the rear. The 1984 Take 1, followed up by the 1984 Take 2. I do like hearing a little bit more guitar. And then finally, the crown jewel is the Smile single version, and I'm going to give the song a 5. It's fine. It's not something I choose to listen to very much, so. But it is a fine track as a B-side and fine track for Smile to recorded. And interesting to hear 1984 take it, either way. But that's going to be it for this week. And of course, I have a few patrons to shout out. Patreon.com/PLD Products. Please join us. We're having a lot of fun over there. I do apologize. We did have to cancel this week's Patreon hangout due to my job, both my jobs, honestly. We will be rescheduling for probably 2 weeks, not next week, but the week after, the movie Trivia Schmodown, which myself and PJ Campbell write questions for. Team question writers, please be nice to the question writers. We have tapings this weekend, which might prevent us from doing the hangout on Sunday. We'll try to do it the following Sunday. But patreon.com/PLD Projects. I want to thank Danielle Ramirez, Brandon Buckingham, Brandy Parker, Jeff Alterman, John Lestrina, Kelly W. I could not do this without you. I feel really blessed to have you guys supporting me. All of my patrons, really, supporting me. It's really humbling. I'm very, very happy to have you guys. Of course, you can also listen to all my other shows as well. We have the Two Mediocre White Dudes on Film, myself and PJ Campbell. We're going to try to get that more consistent. That's a much more deeply involved podcast involving watching a lot of movies and reviewing a lot of movies. That's sometimes tough to get done, especially with my job and everything else. But we will be doing the Lord of the Rings trilogy soon, as requested by Brandon Buckingham, my patron, as well. And we're going to eventually get into the Halloween franchise, all to get prepared for Halloween Ends, so don't miss that. You can check me on YouTube, PLD Projects, Class Action, myself, Richard Eric Jarvie, Maddie Gunner. We take two actors, directors, franchises and put them up against each other and see who wins after putting them up against in several categories. It's a lot of fun. We just rejuvenated that show. Used to be on Action Industries, which is another place you can find me sometimes when I'm producing for Ben Bateman and Andrew Guy. But that's it for now. Next week, we'll be taking on the next Smile track, a track called April Lady, which is one I really actually dig quite a bit. I'm not going to lie. So I'm looking forward to listening to that one. Until next time, people, God save the Queen.